Fight Frogs. This is Fight Frogs, the pond of all things martial arts. So step onto the lily pad of violence. This is a pretty exciting moment for me. And also, all the frogs out there are going to be tuning in, and also my companion frog. I'd like you to say hello.
Hello.
We're very excited to bring this channel to you. I'm super passionate about MMA and all things martial arts. And it's a great moment because we have a very exciting event this weekend. We have UFC 322, Della Maddelena against Islam Machachev. We're going to be breaking down all the fights here. We're going to be breaking down the early prelims, and of course the main card. I'll be here with you tomorrow live. I have my handy dandy board behind me. Of course, you can appreciate the aesthetic, all the effort that my fellow companion Fight Frog put into making this look great. I'm super excited to just get this journey started with you, and let's jump right into it. We're going to be breaking down every fight, so let's start with the earliest fight of the night: Vyacheslav Borshev against Matthias Camillo. We have Borshev out of Russia coming in at plus 150 and Matthias Camillo at minus 180 odds. The early prelims, man, I'll tell you what, this entire card is very, very exciting. Bottom to top, we're going to have a lot of action. I think the matchmakers put a lot of effort into this end of year fight to get us excited for the switch that they're making to Paramount. So they want to get us all geared up and obviously tuned in. And what a way! I mean, this prelims, the early prelims, they're all stacked. This fight especially is a good way to start it off because you got two guys with great records, decent records, that is. You got Borislav coming in at 6-3. You got Camillo coming in at 9-3. Or we got 8-6 for Borshev. They're both coming off of losses for their last fights, so definitely they got something to prove. You have it's going to be a tight matchup, but this is one of those matchups where and I'm looking at this whole card, and I'm looking at the odds and the betting picks. I'm seeing a lot of underdogs that look pretty attractive on this card, and Vyacheslav Borshev is one of those guys for me. Coming out of Russia, these guys don't fight for money; they fight for pride. And this is going to be my pick for the first pick of the night: is Vyacheslav Borshev over Matthias Camillo. We're going to start it off with an underdog taking the victory. Moving right into the next fight of the night: Bangsagar Sursakayev against Eric Mechanico. Always remember to hydrate. Now, this is the banger of the night in terms of the odds, right? With everything that's been going on in the UFC recently, there's a lot of attention on these types of matchups with a guy at minus 1050 odds, with Eric Mechanico sitting at plus 675. Sursakayev out of Russia and Mechanico out of the United States. Just a quick breakdown: we got Sursakayev at 10-0 and Mechanico at 10-3. Both of them are coming off of wins of their last fights. You got Sursakayev with a little bit of size advantage, as well as the advantage. I mean, as a background as a grappler, I think I tend to lean toward guys with more grappling, strong, kind of well-rounded fighting style. So that being said, we're going to go with Sursakayev on this one, but watch it. I mean, he's out of Russia. He's not a money fighter. He's a pride fighter, right? But with everything that's going on in the UFC and these crazy betting odds, I mean, you just got to take the favorite on this one. But hey, with a plus 675, an underdog like Mechanico, that could be a good pick. We don't know. But for my picks, I'm going with Sursakayev on the night. Moving right into the women's strawweight bout with Angela Hill against Fatima Klein. We have Angela Hill coming in as the underdog at plus 390 odds. Fatima Klein at minus 520. Fatima is the heavy favorite here with an 8-1 record, with Angela Hill kind of the journey woman that she is at 18-15. Angela Hill coming off of a loss of her last bout, and Fatima coming off of a victory. I think this is a cut and dry case. Women's strawweight, Fatima Klein, easy victory, probably by decision. I could see her getting a finish in probably the late third round, TKO finish. With the women's, the direction the women's strawweight division is shaking out, they're looking for somebody to kind of become that next premier person. I can see Fatima Klein getting a little bit of push from the UFC. So we're going to pick her, Fatima Klein. Moving into the featherweight bout against Pat Sabatini against Chepe Marichal. Sabatini out of the United States, Chepe out of the United States. We have minus 130 for Sabatini and plus 110 for Marichal. You know, UFC, Madison Square Garden, New York City, Sabatini, the Italian guy. That's an easy pick for me, but this is going to be a tough matchup for him, guaranteed. I just like Sabatini. I think they kind of lined him up for this one, but the betting odds are very tight, so we can expect this one to have a little bit of fireworks behind it, but we're going to go Sabatini on this one. Moving into the culmination of the early prelims with UFC 322, we're going to have Kyle Dawkins against Gerald Meerschaert. I'm just going to say it. Gerald Meerschaert is one of my least favorite fighters in the entirety of the UFC. I think he's kind of a can, and that being said, I think Vegas thinks he is too, coming in at the betting odds of plus 330. Kyle Dawkins at minus 425. I think this is a pretty easy win for Dawkins, coming in at 16-4. Gerald Meerschaert being, again, got to give credit where credit's due. He's had 57 professional fights, none of which I can remember other than when he got steamrolled by Chimaev. Probably the funniest thing I ever saw after all the talk he did. Anyway, we're not going to waste a lot of time on Gerald Meerschaert's pants, and he's definitely going to lose. So we're going to go with Kyle Dawkins on that one for sure. Moving in to the prelims, man, starting it off, we got a banger with this one. Malcolm Wellmaker is one of the next prospects in the UFC. He's got an exciting style. I think they're looking to prospect this guy as like the next up and comer, but what he needs to do is really show out on this card. We got Malcolm Wellmaker against Ethan Ewing. We got Wellmaker coming in at 10-0, and I have debut information on Ethan Ewing. It seems like he was a scrap probably for somebody. Let's take a look. Yeah, it looks like we had Cody Haddon originally for that fight, but it looks like Cody Haddon has been scrapped for tomorrow night, and it's going to be Ethan Ewing,
Good to know.
which I have no information on, but that makes it really interesting. Let's see what we got for odds. We have Ethan Ewing coming in at plus 130. Malcolm Wellmaker undefeated, only minus 155. These are tight odds. I'd like to know a little bit more about this Ewing guy to make a decision. But like I said, I think they're looking for that next UFC hype train, and Wellmaker has all the tools to do that. So we're going to go with Wellmaker on this one. But very interesting there to see the late scrap. Those late scraps are always rather interesting because you get a guy who's going to step in there with last moment. You haven't had a training camp for him. You don't have a lot of information on him. You may or may not have a lot of video on him. Anyway, late scraps are really interesting. So I think that brings a lot of fireworks to the beginning of the prelims. Moving into a great women's flyweight bout against Erin Blanchfield, ranked number 4, against Tracy Cortez, ranked number 8. Blanchfield coming in at the favorite at minus 258 and Cortez coming in at 210. However, I think Cortez is one of these up-and-comers that the UFC is really looking to promote. It would be an excellent opportunity for her to get a nice W against a really formidable opponent here. Blanchfield coming in at 13-2, coming off of a victory of her last fight. And we have Tracy Cortez coming in at 12-2, also coming off of a victory of her last fight. This is an interesting women's matchup. Could go both ways. It could be a little bit of a dancing match that ends in a decision that could kind of go either way. Or we could have some early fireworks, and I could see Blanchfield maybe finishing this fight early. But I think if this goes 3 rounds, we could get one of those suspect decisions where we got Tracy Cortez winning with a kind of, one of those decisions that's kind of introduced to give you a W and kind of propel you to the next stage of the UFC forefront, right? So that's just my take. I'm probably gonna go Tracy Cortez on this one. That's another, like I said, this card is full of underdogs that you could realistically pick to get some W's. So the parlays are going to be bananas, I'll tell you what. I really like this next fight. It's a pretty interesting fight. We got Roman Kopylov against Gregory Rodriguez, Gregor Jeff, as I like to call him. We have Kopylov coming in at a plus 154 and Gregor Jeff Rodriguez coming in at a minus 185. If you know, you know. I mean, it's all good. Roman Kopylov coming in at 14-4. Gregor coming in at 17-6. The biggest thing for me with this fight is the size difference. I mean, if you look at Gregor Rodriguez, he's a beast. He's a big dude. He's throwing bombs. Roman Kopylov, he's got great footwork. He is a very well-rounded fighter. I can see him if he can gas Gregor early in this fight, move around a little bit, take it to the later rounds, kind of impose his will. Maybe, but I think the reason why Rodriguez is the favorite in this fight is because the betting odds are expecting him to probably finish this fight early. I bet you some prop bets to look at are first round TKO finish, or just a TKO finish in general. Probably get some plus money on that one there. Man, I like Kopylov on this one. After everything I just said, I'm just gonna have to go with Kopylov on this one. I think he's a really well-rounded fighter, and even though we're overcoming a size differential and maybe a bombs differential, I think he can weather that in the early rounds and kind of make something happen for him. We'll see. So, but I think right now my heart feels like Kopylov is going to pull out a really big victory on this one. And this is a great card for whoever is going to come out of the victor is going to really propel themselves into the next year to kind of excel their career in the right direction. So this card is meant for that. So I have Kopylov by propelling himself into the next wave of 2026 greatness in UFC. Man, we're going to talk about this one. Bo Nickel, Rodolfo Vieira. Coming into the UFC, I was very high on Bo Nickel. I have a background of watching him win 4 NCAA championships in wrestling and pretty much doing it in a dominant fashion. He is a hard worker coming out of Penn State. Cale Sanderson, I could talk days and days and days about his wrestling accolades. But at the end of the day, if he's not going to wrestle in the UFC, then he's not going to win. So coming off of a loss to Renner D. Ritter, that was kind of a blow to the gut for Bo Nickel. And this is a really big opportunity for him headlining the prelim card for UFC 322 against Rodolfo Vieira, who's a very big, strong, dangerous guy, very good with his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, world class. So, it's an interesting matchup because if you have Bo Nickel, a guy who, he's not that great on his feet, but what makes him great on his feet is people fearing the fact that the takedown is coming. It's like the Khabib factor, right? It's like Khabib's not great on his feet, and he's got a little bit of like sloppy tendencies, but he's landing at a high clip, and he can hit you with damaging blows, overhands, shovel hooks. It's the wrestler's way. This is kind of what they have in their quiver, right, as far as striking goes. But the reason why is because those level changes and the ability to move a person's hands is going to make a big difference to make your striking a lot more effective. I see Rodolfo Vieira inviting Bo Nickel to getting into a grappling match with him. What end of the story is what Bo Nickel needs to do to become victorious in the UFC is use his high-level wrestling. Yes, are you in a dangerous position when you get into the realm of a world-class Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioner? Absolutely. But we've been proven time and time again that if you create violence from the top position with strategic ground and pound and not getting yourself too stretched out or in bad positions, and you just kind of control the top position, then that's a good strategic way path for victory. I know I'm getting really heavy on the Bo Nickel, but we're just gonna pick Bo Nickel on this one is what we're saying, okay?
Obvious choice.
But he needs to get a win here. So moving into the main card. The main card is what we are all here for and really all excited for. We had this one get bumped up from the prelims to the main card. We have Benoit Balls Saint Denis against Beneil Dariush. I'll just drop one of those if you know kind of situation again. We have Beneil Dariush coming in at a plus 150. And we have Benoit Saint Denis coming in at the favorite here is a minus 180. Beneil Dariush 23-6-1. He's kind of toward the end of his career. He's an older guy. I want to say he's 36 years old, coming off of a win on his last bout. Saint Denis also coming off of a win, 15-3. I see this being an explosive matchup. I see this being 3 rounds, probably on the feet. I see some clinch work on the fence, some dirty boxing. There's just going to be a lot happening in this fight. And coming off of the prelims, where I'm hoping we're going to see a grappling heavy match between Bo Nickel and Vieira, we're going to move into a more striking heavy bout against Dariush, against Saint Denis. So we can expect some fireworks and maybe some blood. I like Saint Denis here. He's younger. I think he's better and more crisp on the feet. Dariush is kind of toward the end of his career. They asked him in the press conference if he was going to try to win a belt or something to that effect, and his answers seemed very like, So I just think his heart's really not in it anymore. So we're going to pick Saint Denis on this one, coming in at the betting favorite. But again, Dariush, he beats favorites sometimes. He beat Moicano. I definitely didn't have him picked in that fight. He surprised me in that one. So, that's another one where you can see the underdog making a splash. Moving on to Leon Rocky / Boring Edwards against Carlos Prates, who is pretty exciting, honestly. So this is an interesting matchup. Is stylistically who's going to make this matchup? I can see Carlos Prates making this an exciting, like a dynamic fight on the feet, because we all know Leon Edwards is very technical, but he likes to fight a little bit more of like a spar style match or a point fighting style match. And that's why I say he's boring. I mean, he's excellent. He's an ex-champion. He head kicked Kamaru Usman. Let's all give him credit for that. I saw a breakdown that DC did yesterday where he was kind of making fun of the corner work. How Leon Edwards gets to his corner, he's just like he's asleep almost. Like, wake me up when the next round starts. And his man's is just like, come on, Leon. Yeah, anyway, great stuff. That's probably the highlight of a Leon Edwards fight is the corner work from that maniac. So super pumped for that. And then Carlos Prates, I just think he's another one of again, this is one of those matchups where it's like, this is going to propel you into greatness for UFC. He's got a little bit of props on the fact that he's the favorite on this one, coming in at 175, Leon Edwards plus 145. Edwards coming off of a loss against Bilal Muhammad. I think it was Bilal Muhammad. Could be wrong. I think it was Bilal Muhammad. But anyway, terrible. Boring fight. It's probably why I don't remember, because it was so boring. And then Carlos Prates, 22-7, coming off of a win. Again, we're gonna pick Prates. This could be a boring fight. This could be a great fight. I realistically think Carlos Prates is gonna win a Leon Edwards style fight, just with a little bit more damage caused, a little bit more flash and flare in the pan. And he's going to come out with probably a decision victory on this one. And Leon Edwards is probably not even going to care. So moving into the next fight, we have Sean Brady against Michael Morales. This is a super interesting fight. I've gone back and forth with who I think is going to win this fight, what I think is going to help the other person, put their dominance in this fight. It's a welterweight bout. Sean Brady coming in at 18-1. When I think about Sean Brady's career, I know he's 18-1, but it doesn't feel like he's 18-1, right? I mean, he is good, but it's like that. I don't know. That seems like a crazy good record to me, and he is crazy good, but I just maybe think he hasn't had the right matchups yet. But this is the matchup that's going to prove him as the next guy. Like I said, this whole card is just meant to prove who's the next guy in the UFC and who's going to be propelled. We got Michael Morales coming in at a clean 18-0. They're both coming off of wins. Michael Morales had the pink coat on at the press conference, and Sean Brady maybe had a t-shirt on. So we got a crazy clash of styles on that. And when they stood next to each other, I was super surprised. Sean Brady's looking short, boy. Hey, that's coming from a short king. So I support Sean Brady. I think he's the All-American boy. I think that's what we need right now, is like the next American dude to be propelled into like greatness, so we can I see White House event for him. But anyway, this is a big matchup. Michael Morales, some of the embedded stuff that I was watching, I was like, oh, Morales looks a little undersized, like thin, and not undersized in like height, but he just seemed like thin in the body, like kg in the body. Whereas we know Sean Brady is built for damage, boy. So realistically, I was thinking, oh, Sean Brady's going to come in, he's going to grapple, eat him, and Morales is going to have his hands full basically for 15 minutes, grappling, when he's wants to primarily make this a striking match, I would imagine. We're going to go with Sean Brady on this one. I can talk at exhaustion about these guys because this is a really exciting matchup. And again, it's one of these ones where I think the underdog has a really realistic opportunity to win this fight. He's only coming in at plus 114. That's the same odds that Wang Zhili is coming in against Shevchenko. So realistically, I think Vegas is looking at both of them as a really viable option to win these fights. So, and with Morales's clear height advantage, I could see that coming into play because as a shorter fighter, if you can't get in on a longer reachy guy, boy, it can be a long night for you. So that being said, Sean Brady number 2, Morales number 8. Super exciting matchup. The winner of this fight is going to propel himself into UFC greatness. Mark my words. Moving into the co-main event, we have an exciting women's flyweight title bout against the champion Valentina Shevchenko. We have Zhang Weili moving up a weight class to try to take her belt. I feel like I'm the Shevchenko sleeper agent who knows when she's going to lose. And because I picked it against Grasso, I remember a buddy of mine reached out and he was like, Shevchenko lock tonight, right? And I was like, no, definitely no. So saved his whole parlay. He couldn't believe it. He texted me after and was like, man, how did you know? And I get it. That was Alexa Grasso. But for me, it's a feeling about Valentina Shevchenko. She's very dominant over everyone, right? And personally, I think she's kind of getting tired of all of this and looking to ride off into the sunset as one of the best female fighters ever. If she wants to be the best female fighter ever, she wins this fight. But I don't see her winning this fight. I see Zhang Weili. She's just in the pinnacle of her career right now. She looks like she's in incredible shape. She's super explosive. She's super quick. As far as women's fighting goes, I think she's operating at a whole different level. So I think anybody's going to have hands full with Zhang Weili, and that's why I'm going to pick her as the plus 114 underdog. They're both coming off of wins on their last fight. Zhang Weili's fought in New York before 3 times. That's something. So I think the moment is going to be hers. So we got Zhang Weili as the underdog. Lots of underdogs here. That's the biggest thing I'm trying to take away from this UFC 322 is they're encouraging somebody out there to win a crazy, strategic, well thought out, just banger parlay. But I'll tell you what, it's gonna take a lot because these matchups can go either way. And that leads us right into our co-main event. And the reason why we're all here and excited for this matchup, we have Della Maddelena out of Australia against Islam Machachev out of Dagestan, Russia. I mean, we all know these guys. We're pretty familiar with what they're bringing to the table. It's a super exciting matchup. I'll probably do some more breakdown videos as far as the matchups I'm most excited for. This, of course, being the one I'm the most excited for. I'm a huge Islam Makhachev fan. I'm a OG Khabib guy. These are the guys that I like. You struggle with Islam coming off of that loss just recently, but he is coming off of a win of his last fight, and so is Della Maddelena. The interesting breakdown for this one is Maddelena being very sizey and lengthy. He has very crisp movement on his feet. He doesn't have a lot of fluff or wasted movement. He throws right from the clip. He likes to do a lot of this hand feinting stuff. He's very strong on the feet at stuffing takedowns as well as fighting back up to his feet from takedowns. And we all know what type of fight Islam Makhachev is going to try to impose on Maddelena here. So and again, with the same thing I was talking about with the Bo Nickel fight, it's an interesting dynamic. And Islam Makhachev made note of this in the press conference. Somebody asked him something to the effect of Maddelena having much better striking. And Islam made a clear point that, yeah, brother, this is MMA striking, not boxing. So if we're doing boxing and we're sparring, yeah, he might clip his head off. But the thing about fighting a guy like Islam Makhachev is your hands, they start from here, but they start dropping down here. And then once you get peppered a couple of times, you're doing a little bit of this. You're doing a little bit of back and forth. And then the timing comes in for the takedowns, working them onto the fence. End of the day, I see Islam Makhachev grinding this one out. A lot of fence work, dominating fashion once he gets him down to the mat. Is Della Maddelena going to be able to get up? Yeah, maybe a couple of times. But inevitably, I think Makhachev is going to swallow him whole. And we're going to see a lot of nice control and ground and pound leading him to the victory on this one. Sitting at minus 285, he's the heavy betting favorite. But man, Jack Della Maddelena is the sleeper pick of the night at plus 230 probably. That's, whew. I mean, there's a lot going on here. So we're going to continue to break these things down. And I'm super excited to bring Fight Frogs to you. This may have been too long or absolutely terrible, but we're going to get there and we're going to grow with the Fight Frog community, me and my companion. I can't wait to have some sit down dialogue with her. I have a background. I've been watching mixed martial arts, fighting, boxing, wrestling since the early OG days of Pride Fighting Championships and the original UFCs, the Tank Abbott days, the Frank Mir days, Rocky Couture. And I'm super excited to be here with you today talking about UFC 322. We're going to have a breakdown tomorrow of our live event. We got the board ready. We're going to have our picks all picked out. We're going to have our stars next to our picks. I'm really interested to see long term how many picks I can get right. But at the end of the day, we're excited to bring to you all the Fight Frogs footage. We're going to do tier list breakdowns, live events, matchups. I want to talk about not just UFC, but also boxing events. You know, it is Friday. We missed the Jake Paul Gervonta Davis fight because it got canceled. So, you know, when big boxing fights come around, we're going to be watching boxing. Bare knuckle boxing I'm way into. Karate combat sometimes is cool. I've been watching the Dan Hooker 1 minute beast fights. Those are hella fun. I want to break those down. But anything that you guys want to see, I want this to be a collaborative effort. And I want to figure out what people want to see, what people want to hear. I'm excited that we're doing the UFC 322, and it's in Madison Square Garden, New York. I'm from New York. I'm pumped as hell. Fight Frogs, baby. Let's do this.